Okay, I think we're live. Hello all, hello world. Yeah, this is definitely way earlier of a stream than I usually do, but I've got a lot of stuff to do today. Yeah, I finished up a midterm today. I think it went well. I know I definitely got 2 questions wrong, but should be fine. I'm earlier, fair enough. Yeah, I also had an interview. It seemed to go well. We might have to retire the... I don't want to speak too soon, but we might have to retire the until I land a compiler role part of the schedule. It's... Well, we'll see what happens. No guarantees. But yeah, the goal for today is to finally, at long last, start the compiler backend. So far, we have worked with turning C into our optimizer language, and then taking our optimizer language and making some transformations and some analyses. We haven't actually gotten to formally generating code yet. What we've done so far is we have this optimizer language that we can like kind of hack into like LLVM, because it's basically LLVM IR, but yeah, it's not quite a standalone compiler yet. So I'd like to get that done real quick. And by real quick, I mean very slowly, because there's a lot of stuff to do here. Let me pull up my design diagram real quick. It's somewhere here. Yeah, okay. So this is from my Discord. Yeah, this diagram, hopefully it's somewhat readable. At the time of writing this, all of the red stuff is stuff we've done. Since then, we've added control flow. We've done this rewrite stuff up here. We've added params. We've skipped types. We've added proper expression parsing. In the middle end, we've added simplified control flow graph, which isn't listed here. We've started instcombine. Yeah, none of this stuff in the backend section has been started yet. So my plan is to at least begin some of that, and yeah, hopefully we can start doing things to the code. Also here I have this nice little list of things that I want to get done. The backend section is pretty narrow here. The biggest thing that has been holding me back is not any of these specifically, but specifically this LIR thing, because I don't really know what I want the backend IR to look like. Then yeah, that's gonna be a little bit scary, but we're gonna give it a try. What's good, John? I feel like I don't know if like YouTube is being funky, but everyone in stream chat's usernames is now just like the YouTube tag, which is like annoying. So I don't actually get to see people's usernames anymore. Have you ever touched JavaScript? I have before. I've also found that I don't quite enjoy JavaScript. I have a question. What's up? How do you handle your C++ build? I'm using CMake because I hate myself, I guess. There's no rational reason to use CMake. But the way I sort of reasoned about this was, I use CMake, and then I do things like recursively. So like this one adds the CMake stuff from all 3 of these. This one is just like, I guess all of these from here are just like glob everything, and then build, I guess. And then each of these are like a library, and then like we put everything together here. And then because CMake is annoying to use, I have a makefile on top of that, which just wraps CMake. So we have a makefile that wraps CMake that wraps, I guess, makefile technically. Yeah, I mean, you can take a look at this. It's all public as well. You can kind of just lift it, to be honest. If there's one thing I would change, I want to make the build and debug thing like a little bit less annoying. because this is just like not fun to work with because I have to like build it twice now and it's like doubly annoying. I think the plan might just be I only work with like debug and then I also make a separate release or like a release build flag. But yeah, we have a make file that wraps cmake that wraps I guess make, and that also makes it like somewhat portable to some degree, or I guess it makes it unportable, which is really funny. I want to fix this testing because this is very sloppy, but I'll figure out what to do eventually. Do you use Antler? Or Antler? I haven't heard of it up to this point, to be honest. So I guess no. Yeah, what I use Pectool though. The big pause in my parser. This is all a Pectool slush. It takes a peg, I guess. Do you think it's worth learning depths of the build process, or is it just something to patch together to make it work? I think it's worth learning about just because like it's kind of cool, to be honest. Like it sucks to use, but it's kind of cool. But I also completely understand if like you want to just like not learn it, which is like also very valid. Yeah, realistically you probably aren't going to be using cmake if you want to like be a sane, rational human being. So yeah. I did? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different parser generators. Eventually I'm going to replace this with just a handwritten parser, but I'm kind of lazy, so I don't really want to yet. What's the entry package of the compiler rule? What do you mean? Seems cool, but the build process and compiler directives make it complicated? Yeah, I mean, it's like a double-edged sword. Like, it's very hard to get into, but you can also do just like, you can do literally whatever you want with it, which I think is just really cool as well. Oh yeah, branch. So yeah, so last time we merged expert parsing into name. Salary? I think it's comparable to most SWE. But the roles generally tend to be more senior, so that kind of pushes the median up at least. Yeah, so we can pull now. Yippee. Look at all the stuff we did. All the stuff we did across 2 weeks. That's so cool. Parser is a lot of stuff. Tests have a lot of stuff. That's really funny. Okay. Let's see. Where do we go from here? Let's make a branch. It's gonna be the backend, so initial backend, I guess? I don't know. You sure Elixir at some point? I probably should. I don't really see the appeal to it, at least off the top of my head. At least for the stuff that I've been trying to work on. I imagine there's like a good reason, but like it's not coming to me immediately. Oh, should I have 3 monitors? Yeah, I mean, it's always nice having extra. I think you get very quick diminishing returns from 2 Horde because like you have to worry about like desk space, and then like you have to like start craning your neck, and that's like really annoying. But I think 2 is like a pretty good balance. Either that or just get an ultra wide. I used an ultra wide for the summer and it was alright. I enjoyed it. I would still prefer 2 separate monitors, but it's at least something. How unique it is as a language? Interesting. Okay, I might take a look then. Okay, how do we even begin the backend? Okay, let's do backend directory. Yeah, we don't have this nice ordering anymore of driver, front end, middle end, because backend has a B in it and B comes first, but yeah. Okay, so we probably wanna, what did I call the IR? LIR. Ah, this is inconsistent. That's so funny. So we have, or it is completely consistent, but yeah. We have high IR, we have middle IR, and we have low IR, which is LIR. It's pretty good. Learning C# and Java is basically the same thing, for example. Yeah, I guess that makes sense then. Like, if it's really unique, I imagine it'd be interesting to at least, like, think about problems with that lens. It's kind of like, I imagine it's similar to, like, thinking about problems from, like, a Rustation POV. But, like, different in its own way. What's good, Dimitri? I get to finally start the backend, which is terrifying because I don't know what to do for the backend here. More rounded? More well-rounded. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, my one big regret with this project is not writing more of it in Rust, because Rust would make my life so much easier, I think. I wouldn't have to deal with so much C++ mess, but also I do want the C++ practice, so I'm not that upset about it, I think. How do we even start with this? Oh boy. Okay, I guess we can start with the MIR stuff, and then we can copy stuff over in some way, maybe? Hey Janine, good to see you. I think you'd like Zig over Rust? Interesting. I feel like, I guess my question with Zig is just like, why not C then? Like, it just feels like, it doesn't really occupy a niche that I understand yet, at least. Okay, so we're gonna need, we're gonna need a central LIR. And then we're gonna need instruction. This is not gonna be SSA for hopefully reasonable reasons. Comp time? Interesting. Skivity? Okay. Yeah. Okay, how do I even go about this? What does the structure of a program look like here? I guess this would look a little bit like what I have in the front end, maybe? This is gonna be a little bit difficult. Alright, maybe we don't start with the C++ file, let's start with the header. Namespace, backend, LIR. What do you mean by land a compiler role? Get hired at a place where I can work on compiler stuff as a compiler engineer. JavaScript and Node.js. That'd be good. That'd be pretty funny. I think another really funny project I want to work on at one point is like, I want to make like a compiler that like literally uses like what people normally think of as like front end and back end stuff. I think that'd be so funny. Like if we got JavaScript for the front end, we got like a database to like store all of our register values, you know? Would you be willing to help make a website at some point? I would like to avoid it if possible because I don't really want to work on a website, but yeah, I think that's probably my final stance on that. Apple SM, AMD SM, yeah, those are two of the big ones. The more I think about it, the more I want to target like quant compiler dev, which exists in some capacity. It might be a little bit harder, but I'm hoping to get into that eventually because, well, I like money, but it also just seems way more exciting than doing stuff at big tech. What do you think of GCC? I think it exists. I haven't really done a lot of comparative work between GCC and Cling, so I can't really speak more to that, but it's existed for a while for a reason. A lot of people still use it for a reason. Like, I think that's fair enough. Like, I think I'm using GCC right now, ironically, just because I haven't bothered to switch. I'm second year and I don't know anything except C and C++, front and back end. Yeah, that's all. I guess like that is kind of stuff you just have to learn on your own. The way I relate computer science to software engineering is like chemistry to baking. Like, having degree knowledge will help you in terms of like figuring out what is going on, but in terms of like quote unquote industry application, you kind of have to do a lot of self-learning. Like for instance, you don't really get to learn a lot about like web frameworks in school. Maybe you get to use it for like 1 or 2 classes, but a lot of the stuff is just things you have to pick up on your own. And in a similar, it's like similar to chemistry in that sense, I think, or like chemistry if you want to become a baker, I guess. Okay, what do I even do here? What is this? What is the structure? I think we still want program. I think we still want function. So let's start with function. Or yeah, let's just start with function. Let's start with program. We're gonna want a visitor eventually, but I don't want to deal with that yet. What's your opinion on Chandler Kurth and his idea for the C++ successor? I haven't looked into it. I feel like I remember hearing something about this though. Oh, is it Carbon? Yeah, Carbon. Okay. Yeah, we can look at the Wikipedia page. I like heard of this. It seems interesting. I do need to like look into it a little bit because I may as like if I'm already profiling like LLVM code, I may as well also extend it to like all the other languages that LLVM has a front end for. In terms of like the language itself, I haven't like looked into it too much though. I would need like a very good reason to use it, at least. That's kind of the big problem for like uptake of new languages, I think. It's just like, is there a niche that it fills? And if there is, how much better does it do it than the next best alternative? And I think for a lot of languages, C and C++ will just do that better. Whereas like Rust does like something that is fundamentally new that I think is very important. So yeah, it's gonna be hard to like, I think it's gonna be hard for Carbon to take off, but I could see a world where it happens at least. Novel compiler engineering ideas and techniques, interesting. I will take a look. Or I'll look into it more thoroughly when I guess get around to that part of my research project. Abstract classes? Well, I need classes first, so I need to figure that out. Abstract classes scare me though. I say as I implement interfaces that are just abstract classes in my language. Like come on. Cargo will co-rust? Interesting. Why do you say that? I feel like it's been pretty good as a package manager compared to all of the other options at least. Any suggestions where I can do some research? Honestly, you kind of just have to like scour the internet to learn more about software engineering broadly, I think. It's really hard to give like a singular source. Everything I learned at least just came from like a lot of different places, so there's not really a good one-stop shop. New peak? I've definitely had more at some point. Not that I like stare at it very closely though. Like the metrics are all secondary at the end of the day. The big thing is just I get to write code and y'all get to watch me fumble through code. And that's what we're all here for. Graduating this year, starting SUI role, post-grad, how can you prepare for a head start? I can't tell from your question if you've already like landed the role or if you're like looking for one. If you're looking for one, make sure your resume is beefed up, do a lot of practice questions, get prepared for the interview, and just give it your best shot. There's not really a better way to go about it. If you have a role, or like if you're starting soon, I would ask your manager what the tech stack looks like and just like if there's anything that like you should touch up on before. Does virtual mean the concrete class implements? Yeah, I think Dimitri's answer is pretty solid here. I guess you can think of it as C++'s keyword for dynamic dispatch. I think that's like the least verbose way to explain it. Yes, it does use a vtable, which funnily enough, I've only heard the word in I've only heard the word vtable in one class here so far, which is really crazy to think about. And it's the game dev class of all places, which makes sense, but you'd expect it to be like mentioned somewhere else. Okay, so then, okay, I'm gonna take a second to like chill from reading chat. Apologies. I want to figure out how to structure this thing. Okay, let's just get the usual boilerplate in. Okay. We can just start with the private fields, I guess. At minimum, I think we want just a body of some sort. I don't really know what to do here. We want an instruction of some sort, I think, or a body of instruction. It's like something like this, maybe. Let's like start templating this header as well, real quick. So let's include, or we don't need to include anything yet here. Okay, so we want class instruction just as a baseline. And then up here, let's include front end. Or no, not front end. No. What am I doing? Back end. LR. And then instruction. Yeah, okay. So that defines instruction. Is this the right? Why is this not working? Oh, right. Vector. Whoops. Why is it still not working? God damn it. I need to include memory. Okay, there we go. Everything is fixed now. What is a compiler role? A job where I can be a compiler engineer and work on a compiler. Currently, I'm working on a compiler from C to x86-64. And the goal is to emulate, or at least reproduce from scratch, most of the modern compiler infrastructure that exists. NPM 2.0, every project has 1,000 dependencies. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I feel like that's kind of just a general package manager problem though, right? Like that will just inevitably be how a lot of languages go. And I think the alternative is just like no package manager, or like something that is like very hand involved, which is like arguably worse. Like if you've tried to deal with like setting up dependencies without having a package manager, it is just a complete nightmare, and it just makes a mess. Like just like I spent like a couple of days setting up my CMake lists, and it's not fun. You have to do like this stuff to like set up dependencies, and it's like blech. I know there are other tools that can do build management, but it'd also be really nice if we could like standardize it across languages, but that's never gonna happen. So I think the best shot we have at getting good tooling is just whatever a language ships with. And from that metric, I think Cargo does a phenomenal job. It's extensible, it's easy-ish to use, it's pretty configurable. It's kind of like pip if it wasn't terrible, I guess. As our language needs a strong std library that covers 90% plus of use cases. Sure, that is fair, but that is more an issue with. I think that is more a critique of the language rather than the package manager. Like, I think it's possible to have I think that is a critique that is completely distinct from package manager utility, at least. Okay, how do we wanna, what does assembly look like again? Never mind my test code. We need to generate assembly. So I'd like this to look a little bit like assembly in some way. Yeah, if there's a way I could like, I guess we'd end up having like a second pass manager, which is really funny. How do I want to represent this? Let's just write some for loop. I don't know. I don't know what this is. Let's do like I plus equals j. I don't know. And then like return something. Let's make this more complex. Okay, well. This is really gonna suck. This is really gonna suck to design. Big standard library has its downsides too? Yes, exactly. That is the other thing that I am thinking about. Like, if you look at what C++'s standard library is extending to, there's a lot of things that you might look at and you might think like, oh yeah, this is like good functionality to have. I look at and I think like, why are these the standard libraries? Why aren't these just packages? Right. I think like, and this is kind of just like more of a question for like how much you want to scope your language, but at least to me, I think when we start having packages for like, or when we have like standard library things for, I guess like somewhat niche functionality, I think that is where it starts getting a little bit hard to, I guess, justify. Because like Hive is like cool. I could like maybe justify this. Hazard pointer, I don't know what this is. Hazard protectable. Sure. But then you look at like SIMD and you're like, does this really need to be a C++ header? It's like, it just feels very difficult, I guess, to parse. Like contracts, I think, is, this one's something that you could probably put on the fronts, for instance. Lineage is something that like, I don't know what to think about. Like, yeah. This is pretty interesting stuff though. It's all like very stylistic, very like whatever floats your boat. I personally feel like a small core and big extensibility is probably the most sustainable way to build a language. But that's just my take, at least. Isn't assembly just memory instructions your computer can read and understand? Yes, but I need a way to represent that so I can, I guess, go from my optimizer language down to assembly in some reasonable way. The solution is somewhere in between. I think that's fair, yeah. I think it's fair to want a rich standard library while also trying to avoid bloat, but I think it's very hard to pin that line. And I think Rust is, I'm not sure where Rust falls on that, to be honest. I haven't been exposed to the full breadth of the standard library, to be completely honest. Go, I haven't had much exposure to either somehow. Oh, we don't have functions anymore in assembly. Oh no. Oh, this is gonna make a mess. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so we have, I don't know, what do you even call these? These aren't functions. We just have a program and a bunch of lines, I guess. This is so difficult. So we have labels. We have, I don't know. Let's just look at an assembly spec. Brown or x86 cheat sheet. Everyone's favorite. Ghost is good? Yeah, I think that's fair. I haven't looked at it, but I imagine it's pretty solid at least. Do we think Python is a good place to pin it? Python might be a little bit too broad even. Actually, I don't know. I feel like NumPy should be just a straight up Python library. But it's also a little bit large, so it's really hard to say. I don't know. Maybe Python is fine. I think I lean towards Python being the perfect size. It's common to not use the backend framework at all for Go. That makes sense, yeah. I think another thing to think about is like a lot of these languages that we're talking about are very general purpose. So it's very hard to like go dependencyless simply because the goal of the language is to be general, right? So like even if it's like a very general language, it seems a little bit narrow to include a library that is like very domain specific, which is like kind of what I'm thinking for like NumPy as an example. Okay, writing a function. Okay, this might be an interesting place to read. So we have a call, we have a lot of different instructions. Why are we writing comments in assembly? Like, no, that's not happening. This is going to be great. So we have a lot of different instructions. Those I'll figure out later. For now, I want to figure out the more broad strokes structure. I'm gonna need like 2 different types of registers. I'm gonna need a virtual register, and I'm gonna need like an actual register, I think. That's something on the ground. Okay. Okay, so it looks like this is the useful section to read through here. We can worry about calling convention when we like actually generate code. For now, I need to figure out what assembly should look like. You don't need comments if you can just sight read assembly. That's true, yeah. That is very much true. Okay, so I think, what do we call a program unit here? Because we don't really have functions anymore at the assembly level. Assembly program unit. This doesn't help me. x86, 64. Okay, this is not very helpful. Shifting registers? Sorry, what is that referring to? The registers are not what I'm concerned about right now. I'll figure that out when I get there. Right now I just need to, this is the most important part, naming things. This is easily the most important thing. Is what I would say if I cared a lot about names. I do care about a lot. I do care a lot about names, so I do say that. Okay, so we don't have a function. We have like a block, I guess? I don't know. It's not really a function, I guess. Leave. Okay. Okay. Does x86 functions. Maybe we do have functions. Maybe we can like pretend to have functions. These are instructions. This is not what I want. Okay. Well, this is not really helpful. Oh, there's SIMD instructions. Nice. Well, this is not bringing me joy. Ask Perplexity? Nah, I'm asking ChatGPT. is the equivalent of a function in a x86-64. What would I use to describe the program unit that consists of a label and its trailing instructions? What are we calling it? So it's not a basic block because we're not doing control flow. Sequence. Procedure? No, this is too large. Okay, so we can just call it a block, I guess. I don't know. We'll just call it a block for now. We'll do something else with it later, I guess. When are you gonna touch C#? I have been on the side for my game dev class. But on stream might be a little bit tough to find a good time for. Okay, so we have a body. We need a label. I guess that's like technically an instruction, so I'll put it here, I guess. It's like not really an instruction. How would I make represent an IR? Let's see what it thinks would be good. Thanks for glazing ChatGPT. That's very useful. This is not what we care about. This is not what we want. Is this what we want? Wait. I think no. This is not what we want. We don't really want a control flow graph here, I think. I think we want it just to be linear. This is so ugly. I mean, I guess this just confirms what I already knew, which is fair enough. So we're gonna, oh yuck. Oh yeah, we're gonna do this completely by hand. Let's close out of the CMake stuff. Did you look at LLVM MIR? I don't think LLVM has something distinctly called MIR, but I've looked at their IR before, yes. That's my plan, or at least that has been my plan for the middle end. The back end I don't really have a good plan for, unfortunately. So this is all just like off the dome. Maybe I should look at the books. I spelled his name wrong. Oh, that's still the wrong book. Okay. Okay, let me just pull up my book real quick. Oh, there it is. Okay. Where's the table of contents? That's the summary. That is not what I want. I lied. This is not helpful. This is all middle end. Okay, I'm gonna skip that one. Okay, we're just gonna do this by hand then. Let's just add a label real quick. This is the label that's attached here. And then, yeah, this is already sequential, so this is fine. Because the program will have multiple blocks. This has a label, this has a body. It should be, I want to keep this minimal, I think. I'll use MR, interesting. Oh, machine R, okay, this makes sense. What do they do here? Okay, that makes sense then. I could probably emulate this. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. My understanding of this is that this is... Is this just a... I guess organization of LLVMIR? Okay, I think this is just like LLVM IR-ish, which I'm gonna do something insane. Also, shout out the let me just twos. We got all the twos. Yeah. Anyway, I think I don't want my backend IR to be SSA form actually. So it's gonna be really difficult if I wanted to like emulate LLVM's design, I think. So I'm actually gonna not use this, I think. That might be the play. I think we're just gonna do our own thing here and see what happens. I have a vague understanding of like the general goals that the backend has, so it should still be fine, but we'll have to see what ends up happening. I think in terms of today's goals, because I'm like really tired and I have like another lab to finish up, I will probably just like complete I guess the 2 header files and call it a day, unfortunately though. Yeah, so this might mean the stream ends within the next hour, but we'll see what happens. Okay, this feels like when I was first starting to stream and I was like trying to design the middle end IR. Feels like that all over again. We're gonna be doing a lot of reordering. I think we are. So we might need to replace vector with list then if we want to manipulate instructions a lot. I think we will. So I'm going to replace this with list, and then this as well. In the event we need to do like reordering stuff. Unique footer to block. And this will be blocks, I guess? I don't know. What's wrong? Oh, I don't have list. Okay, perfect. Which program do you use to code your compilers? I'm using NeoVim right now. Yeah, I think the LSP errors were just caused by me having this like half complete like this. Currently a backend dev with 1 year of experience, but always interested in low-level, high concurrent systems. Yeah, I think compared to the main tech market, I think it's relatively undersaturated. I think there's a lot of area for expansion in that realm. The drawback is that like you do have to just do a lot of the learning yourself. It's very different from like full stack work, at least. You have to think about it very differently, I think. And it's also a lot more theoretical. So I think you can definitely do the learning yourself, but it's difficult to do the learning, but I think it's very high payoff, at least. Okay, so we have this. I think this is a good starting structure. I don't really know what to put in the constructors yet. I think we should figure out the instructions first. Okay, so what do we need? I know what I need. I need to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Give me like 2 minutes. Please don't burn down the house while I'm away. Alright, I'm back. Oh, just in time for the music to stop. Anyway. Yeah, hopefully y'all are still here. Yeah. Okay, what did I want to work on here? I'm okay with learning. What books would you suggest? Started learning C++. Yeah, I think a good first start is to learn C++ and C at least. C itself takes like a month roughly, I think. It's pretty simple, but you can do a lot of crazy things with it. So I think that's at least as good of a place to start. C++ is very vast. There's definitely a lot of learning to be done there, but yeah, I think those two are at least a good place to start. From there, you can branch out into like all the various different system Z areas. So like OS, compilers, networks, / networking, databases if you're interested. There's just like so much to go over, so much to learn. I don't really think book recommendations would be very helpful right now because I think you'd need to be comfortable with like C or C++ to begin with before you can kind of get the most out of it, at least, if that makes sense. Where am I? Instruction. Okay. Is it a good idea to study software dev or will AI take over the job? It depends on what area of software dev, I think. I think if you're in like front end or like full stack sort of land, I think that might not be the best place to try to get into right now because I think AI is genuinely really good at that just because there's a lot of training data on it. But I think systems is still relatively insular. Of course, like AI proper, I think is pretty stable as well. Yeah, I think it's mostly just like don't get into web dev. That's like kind of the high-low of it. Okay, so we have blocks. Let's make a constructor. Let's take std list of std unique footer block. Yeah, so that's a constructor. What else do we need? Let's steal that real quick. Get blocks. This should be a ref, so we can actually make it work. Yeah, I think that's it for program at least. We're gonna need to add toString later, but I think these are good enough for now. These are just like very boilerplate functions. There's nothing really interesting that's happening here at least. So block will take a std unique footer to label, and then a std list of std unique footer of instruction. Yeah, of course. Let me know if you have any other questions about anything at any point. We need getters, so we want std unique footer. This should be a ref. We can do that, and then we can kind of steal this and then change this to instruction. Okay. That's all the getters we need for this top level thing. Maybe I should move label over. I guess label kind of fits in this translation unit level. Translation unit? I guess program unit rather. So I think this is fine. Let's give it a name. So actually public, private. What are you doing right now? So the project I'm working on is a compiler from C to x86-64. Right now I'm working on the back end of it. I am finally starting the part that turns the optimizer language into assembly. These don't have private fields, I think. We can do this. And instruction will just be an interface, I guess, which will be useful further down the line. It'll make sense why. Label. What does this need? This needs a name, String doesn't exist. Is this the best way to store this? Labels should be unique, right? So surely this is fine. Okay. So we have a name, and I think that's all we need for the label. Possibly. How much time did it take you to learn everything you've learned so far? In terms of in compilers, I think most of the learning was like, I would say if you were to condense it all down, it would be roughly a year, but it's taken place over the past 2 years for me, at least. In terms of computer science as a whole, I think it goes all the way back to when I was in high school. At least from like the AP classes I took. I didn't really write much code outside of it because I mean, I was kind of a bum, let's be real. But I think like I started writing substantive code around, I think, halfway through my freshman year of college, and I'm a senior now, so I guess that would also be like 3 years. So I don't know. Make of those metrics what you will. Bottom line, it's not really a race or anything. You're only competing against yourself, I think. Let's make the constructor, and then string, get string, or string, name, whoops. Okay, and then instruction will kind of make a mess. I think we should extend the visitor pattern here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna steal our nice little visitor stuff from instruction. We also need to steal these two, I think. These I'll go into here. We don't really need a label, actually. A label's implicit, so we can get rid of this. Yeah, let's get rid of label. Let's replace this with just a string. And then we can code gen it implicitly, because each block, or I guess like, the only time a label is generated is just at the block. So we can get rid of one step here. I also don't think these need to, no, these need to be unique pointers. Yeah, they need to be unique pointers. That really sucks. And we also don't need a ref there anymore, I think. What's wrong here? We don't have instruction visitor. Yeah, we're gonna need visitors again. We always need visitors. They're always the worst. What can you do? Let's make that real quick. We don't need string here anymore, but we do need it here, I think, right? Right? Oh, guess I don't. Okay, neat. Okay. So let's keep going. I think this is a good start for instruction. We just need to add a bunch of very specific instructions now. We're also gonna need instruction visitor proper. Yeah, so this goes here. We can fill it with stuff. Okay, that's a good boilerplate pile, I think. I don't think we need anything more for LIR proper right now, so we just need the instructions now. The new YouTube UI is just a copycat of Liquid Glass. Yeah, I saw the new YouTube UI for the first time like a couple of days ago, and I was like, damn, this is terrible. I'm not really a fan of it. I don't know. Okay, what do we need? What do we need here? We're gonna need all of these, I think, in some capacity. Or at least immediates and registers. We'll also need memory eventually, but we'll figure that out. In terms of these, I think we only work with double words. which is helpful. Because we only have ints. So those are pretty consistently double words, I think. So we should be fine on that regard. We need some things. We need some things here. Change happened to me yesterday, yeah. I feel like they've just been slowly rolling it out. I don't understand why, because I haven't met a single person that likes it, but you know, so it goes. Okay, we're gonna need operands, I think, or at least like, we're gonna need a separate file to handle these. In the front end, we had like this atom type. I don't like that word. I don't like that name, but it's kind of stuck at least. Maybe I'll rename it to like immediates. Or not immediates, operands, I guess. I guess we should just call these operands. Operand.h. And then we need a C++ version. So we can start with that at least. So we're gonna start as we always do by stealing from another file, because that's always the best way to go about it. Okay, so we want class immediate. We can do that for now. And then we want register. And then another thing we want here, because register allocation is a separate step, we're gonna want virtual register, I think. Register might have to be like, actually, maybe we could like, maybe I could predefine registers in some way. Okay, I think we're gonna make registers virtual by default and then have a few specific registers. Yeah, I think that's all we need for now. We don't really have memory, I think. I don't know, we will have memory. This does not bring me joy. Okay. Yeah, so we have a lot of different registers here. I think we just need these ones, to be honest. The E-size ones. Have you looked into the CPython implementation? I haven't looked. I really should. It seems really interesting. Have you done web dev before? I tried. I didn't like it. I decided against it. That's the short version. I guess we can just leave these as defined right now. Do you have a degree? Working on it. I'm currently wrapping up my bachelor's and starting my master's concurrently. Okay, so let's throw a couple instructions in here now that we have like some stuff templated out. Instruction move, I guess. This might be a good start. All right, let's start with like this. Let's like 2 suffixes. Okay, sure. So we have move, we want push, we want pop. Those are pretty simple, I think. We probably want those regardless. Inspired me to go down the C++ path, starting with Handmade Hero. Ooh, I haven't heard of it. Let me know how it is. Any tips for math courses? Taking pre-calc, need to take calc 1, 2, and linear algebra. Yeah, I mean, you kind of just have to take them. Unfortunately, that is. I don't really think there's much else that I can really say about it. I guess a lot of CS is just math in disguise. So the big thing is just to like actually like take the classes properly instead of just like going through them just for the grade. Like, so many things are just lin algebra in disguise, and a lot of things depend on calc, so make sure you do them properly. That is, I think that's the only real advice I can give. In terms of like substantive advice, I think it's a little bit harder for me to say. Yeah, I haven't gotten to the point where I can like describe things that I wish I had or hadn't taken yet. Yeah, office hours and practice are also very, very important. What is a compiler? Yeah, I think Arthur's answer is pretty good here. I would make it even broader though, just broadly translates any language of code to another language of code. Okay, so we have move, push, pop. That's not a lot to work with yet. Let's add... We can add increment, I think. Well, we'll worry about that later. Let's add... Let's add negate, I think. Or wait, no. We want not. We want both. Yeah, let's just keep this pile growing. This LEA instruction is very interesting. If you've worked with any semblance of assembly, you will understand why it is interesting. So we have add, sub, imul, XOR, or AND. And then we have shift left, shift right. And then division is a little bit of a head bunker. This does not bring me joy. We might just have to only use like the imul and idiv, I think. So we'll just throw in division as well. We're definitely gonna need compare and test. But I think we only have compare right now. No, we have neither right now. We should probably add compare at least. And then there's all these sets which are really difficult to work with. Oh no. Okay, let's just start with this pile for now. I need to rename some of these. Let's start. Yeah, we might have bitten off a little more than we can chew here. So let's add sub imul x86 idiv. Does that exist? Oh, it does. Okay. Okay, well, we can just use idiv, right? Surely. We can add and or XOR. What else did I want? We want S. Which shift is this? I think just arithmetic, right? How many compiler rules are there? There's a lot of different things a compiler engineer can do. The most obvious is just like fixing bugs in existing production compilers, maybe upstreaming it. Aside from that, there's also like proprietary compiler toolchain work that you can do. And then there's like, I guess like hardware specific work. That I say about compilers is that like a lot of places, in terms of like a lot of domains, have some degree of compiler stuff that needs work. So, I guess like my understanding of the market is like it's a little bit insular from the main CS market, for better or for worse. It might be harder to like break into it, but it's also like a little bit safer as well in terms of like job security. I could be completely wrong about that. Let me know if I am, but yeah, that's like my current read at least. What was I looking for? Right, up. So we have left shift and it's arithmetic. These are both the same, I guess. So we have SAR, SAL as well, I guess. That's really funny. What monitor do you have? I have some cheap-ish 165 Hz monitor because, well, I play Valorant, so that's a little bit of a necessity for me to have a good time. Yeah, it will probably get there at some point, but I don't think it'll be for a while at least. And if it does get there, then like every job is doomed. So, sure. Monitor wise, I think refresh rate matters more if you're like playing a lot of games. Just so you have like more smooth gameplay, I guess. Or at least like if you're playing like competitive FPS games. If you're just like playing games that are like single player or like less competitive or latency dependent, I think I feel like 4K is probably fair then. Just know that like once you use a 4K monitor, you will never want to go back. That is like the only main risk I think that comes with that. Okay, so these are all the instructions we have. I think we want to add the compare and test. Yeah, let's add class instructions CMP. So we want test, and then all these set. Oh no. Oh no. This is not gonna bring me joy. I don't wanna deal with this. More information per second with resolution, refresh rate increasing, but refresh rate's more impactful. Yeah, exactly. And also like higher resolution just takes more compute to generate frames for, so that is the other downside. I really don't want to do all of this mess. This does not seem fun. Conditional move we don't need to worry about. I think we just need to add set equals as a minimum right now, and then we can optimize later. We want set equals and jump equals, I think. Or we only just need jump and jump equals, I think. Or like jump greater maybe. I don't know. Jump. I think we want jump equals. I think we want jump greater. Jump equals and then jump greater, I guess. We can do this for now. Have you studied informational technology or are you being self-taught? Yes, I'm currently a computer science major. Getting a degree, so hopefully that answers the question. How long have you been using Vim for? Since last summer. So I'd say it's like a year and a quarter maybe, I think. That number sounds correct to me. Conditional move seems annoying. I don't want to deal with that right now. We need call, we need leave, and we need ret, I think. I've never seen leave be used, to be honest. That's really interesting. I think we'll always have ret, so that will be safer. I have to go, thank you. Oh, wait. That's not how English works. Take care, thank you for showing up to the stream. Yeah, have a good one. You can skip leave? Yeah, that makes complete sense. Okay, so we want ret as well. How long did it take for you to code without a mouse? It took me a while. That is very factually true. I think it took me half a year to get fully comfortable. It just felt like learning to walk again. That's kind of just like always how it is, but just persistence will get you there in the end. And don't be afraid to use the mouse. Like, if you're like me and you spent a lot of money on a mouse, like you spent your damn money on a mouse, you should use your mouse. Like, there's no shame in that. I think this is all we need for now. I have move. Yeah, I think this is the extent of what I need for now. Is there anything that anyone sees that's like blatantly missing? I use a Windows laptop for work. A MacBook with studio display. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is like advantages to both, I guess. Windows just kind of sucks for like writing code. Never mind the fact I'm on Windows, but yeah. I guess as long as you do something with a reason, I think it's perfectly fine. Why do you use Windows? I have a bit of a Valorant addiction, and I can't run Valorant on Linux, so I'm stuck using Windows with WSL. I really like the VS debugger. Interesting. I haven't tried it before. I think my Neovim setup has been pretty seamless at least, so I haven't had a reason to look into it. Oh boy. Okay, this visitor is gonna be giant. Dual boot? Yeah, but I'm lazy. Okay, let's make a quick vim macro for this. So start macro, 0 word. We want to... Oh wait, I need to... Okay, let's undo that real quick. Let's look at a previous visitor that I've written before. It's in here? Yeah, okay. So let's start the macro, 0 word, delete this, virtual void visit, open parenthesis, and back, change iPutter, and then we default it. Next line, quit. So a fun thing you can do with macros, so if you like used macros before, in this instance you can be like, you can keep spamming like at and then the macro, and that will keep running. That's really slow. You can also count lines, so you can do 20 at W. That does all those. What I like to do, I like to go in visual mode. Select all of these and then norm at W. And that's just the same thing, a little bit less miserably. Object-oriented programming, yes. Is there a link to your Neovim config? Yes, it should all be on my GitHub, at least. My GitHub should be in the description. Just let me know if it's not. Better than GDB? I'm not really sure. My setup uses I think it's called Code LLDB. Yeah. It exists as a VS Code plugin. Someone made like a Neovim bindings for it, so I decided just to use it, and it works like a charm for me at least. A debugger is a debugger at the end of the day to me. Yeah, there is. Oh, it just occurred to me. I do need to make this object oriented because this is a visitor cross instruction, I think technically. So first, let's do this. Let's get rid of that. Okay, we're gonna need to make another macro here. This extends public instruction. Let's do the same thing. There we go. Yeah, classes are just fancy structs. That is just factually true. I think it's possible to distinguish like a language with objects from like proper object-oriented programming. It's all semantics, but even still, it's interesting to think about. The way I'm writing these, I feel like I should just use structs, but whatever. I've already started using classes. It's kind of just a lost cause. Is there anything else I want to do here? I think this is fine. What is the compiler role? Job? Yes. I'm hoping to get a position as a compiler engineer somewhere. Are you using HHKB? No. I'm using a Keychron v3 with Gateron Oil Kings. Probably use CQ. I looked this up. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna need to deal with that eventually. That's a future issue. Yeah, I'll probably end up like messing with the set of instructions I have. Maybe it's a little bit short-sighted for me to include all of these off the rip. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna comment a bunch of these out. All of the ones that let me like do normal person things. I think this is what we're gonna keep for now. And then we're gonna uncomment the rest as we go. Yeah, we need these as well to be commented. Yeah, I think this is enough to at least get started trying to implement things. I hope nothing goes terribly wrong. That would suck if it did. Yeah. Okay. So we're just gonna leave that mess there and call it a day. The only other thing I want to build out header-wise is these two. We have immediates, we have registers. We don't really have memory yet. Yeah, we'll do that eventually. I think we do need to predefine some registers. Or at least make some like singleton registers. How do we do a singleton? Static. That's what we do. Okay. So we need to figure out what these all have, at least. This really sucks. Just bought a nice Keychron Q1. Ooh, fun stuff. What is the backend for? The backend for my compiler. What this is supposed to handle is translating my optimizer language to assembly. What the hell am I doing here with immediates? Or I guess, okay, all these should be operand. Operand. These should all inherit from it. Yeah, so let's format like that. Keychron v3 with Gateron Oil King switches. I've been enjoying it. It's been great. Optimizer language. It's the, I guess, the language that I've made that allows for easy code analysis and code transformations. I'll explain that in a bit. Let me read a little bit more chat. But yeah, the Keychron v3 is nice. I just swapped the switches so they're nicer. The board itself is perfectly fine. Why not use Rust? Because I need the practice in C++. There's no other reason. If I wanted to like make a sane design choice, I would use Rust. Definitely. By a very long shot. Unfortunately, I need to find employment, and part of finding employment necessarily has to be C++, unfortunately, nowadays. So I am stuck in C++ hell, unfortunately. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna take a quick step back. Just like explain the overall infrastructure I have here. I think the best place to look at it will be this compiler file. Yeah, so this stuff is all like command line flags, don't worry about that. I'm using NeoVim. Yeah, okay. So we have, this is like the actual like substantive part here. Yeah, so we parse the input file and we turn that into an AST, which stands for Abstract Syntax Tree. That is like a literal memory representation of the source code. And then from there, we run a couple of different transforms on it to turn it into something that we can analyze and, I guess, make optimizations on. So the first step is we lower it to this thing that I call HIR. It's like the source program, but simplified a little bit, and in some ways a little bit messier. I guess if I go into the tests, you can also see what example programs look like. So an example program is like, maybe the memTourage stuff is good. These are all like example programs. They all fit nicely in one screen. That's really helpful. Yeah, all of these are like C programs. They're valid C code. So then if we go into the AST, that's not the right one. Here it is. You may notice this looks exactly the same. That is the point. But if we go into HR, this is like almost valid C code technically. It's just blown up a little bit. We just have like a bunch of different assignments, and it's like really ugly, but it's fine. I'm gonna go through this a little bit quickly because it's all on my GitHub, so you can take a closer look. Yeah, and then from here we turn it into the middle language, and this is what I was talking about, the optimizer language. This resembles, or I guess this is an assembly-like language that is designed for like easy analysis because everything is like very well defined, and it's a control flow graph, so we can like analyze control flow, I guess, which sounds obvious, but like it's quite important. And then after that, we can run optimizations, and then this whole slush reduces down to just this. We can reduce it even more just to like a singular return actually, which is really crazy, but yeah. This is the current state of my compiler. What I want to do is take this file and then turn it into assembly. That is what I'm currently working on. Have you ever programmed in Go? I have not. I really want to, but I have not had a good reason to. I've been writing a silly LLVM backend to compile to Scratch. Ooh, wait, that seems quite fun. That makes me irrationally happy, actually. I quite like that. Okay. So operand, I think this needs a toString, but I'm not gonna worry about that for now. We're gonna worry about that once we start printing things. Immediate, we have. What fields do we have? Can also steal some of this stuff here. Why do you want to program in Go? I mean, it just seems like a very ergonomic language. I don't think I really, like, I don't have like a good reason to write anything in it. I don't really, like, I haven't heard anything bad about it, barring like the lack of generics, but that seems like a good thing, to be honest. Yeah, it just seems like a very nice language, very compact, very easy to use, at least. And it's also very compilable. That's the other thing. As a compiler person, that makes me so happy. Yeah. 45 viewers and 29 likes. That is terrifying. That's a lot of people. Like that is a quarter of an intro sequence course head count, which is really scary to think about. But I'm just gonna pretend that like I didn't see the number and just continue writing code. Okay, what do we need here? We need a value. And then register, I think finally we can just start using names. It's annoyed me long enough that we've used a symbol table. Maybe we don't need. This is really annoying. Okay, we need to import the thing that has uint64. Oh wow, I can't type. Include student, I think? Is that where it lives? Yeah, okay, perfect. And then instruction is definitely going to need to import that at some point. So backend, lir, and then operand. Also, my voice is like really dying, so I might have to call the stream soon. It's like, it's going rough. I guess we could give, or immediate should just be value. Register, I think we have a name. Right? Or yeah, we'd have to give it a name, whether it be like predetermined or not. Yeah, I think this is a good start. Maybe we should make like an immediate manager. So we can like, I guess reuse values, or like have one thing that handles all of the storage of these. Man, this is a mess. Okay, immediates, I think we should have a map for in some way. That's a given. That way we can like reuse things. Registers, I'm not really sure how I want to handle. I might also make a map for those, actually. And that also allows me to like sidestep the whole singleton mess thing, I think. Yeah. Then we can just make it a runtime problem. Which, honestly, at this point, I think is fine. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll be using this set of registers for what it's worth. Also, this is not correct. This is definitely not right. Let's make it string. Okay. What else do we need? I guess, is there a better way to do this without having to deal with like storing strings like this? Because we're gonna be like reusing a lot of registers, I think. And if there's a way to like look them up without having to use the name, that would be nice, but that might not be a thing. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I need the stack pointer. Ah. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Good comms. Yeah, okay. Okay, well. Yeah, we're gonna make a mapping of some sort. So in the front end, we have this like symbol table thing. And this was like really annoying. And I really don't want to use this again. But I might have to use it again. Or at least like make a copy of it. Because here, I think I just didn't deal with singleton things at all. In hindsight, that was a little bit stupid. Maybe I should clean this up at some point. And just make the unique pointers like an internal store to the symbol map, or symbol table. Benji C? No. Hell no. Okay, well I think this is probably a good place to call it for now. I'll do a little bit more thinking off stream, and we'll figure out what to do from there. I imagine it will become clearer as I build out the instructions and handle the lowering and stuff. Let's make a commit. And holy shit, that's a lot of stuff. Okay. Also, we need a CMake list. I just realized. Let's do that real quick. That shouldn't be hard. We can just steal it from here. Yeah, So we can glob. Instead of this, we have backend. This is backend. We don't need dependencies, I think. Right? We can just steal from middle end. Yeah, we can just steal this. Yeah, we don't need link libraries here. This is fine. Let's just change middle to back. And then let's modify this. We need backend. Okay. So let's add all CMake. Am I spelling something wrong? I guess not. Is this Neovim? Yes. Or well, this is Westterm. I used Neovim in Westterm. Let's add those. Whoops. Initial LR build out. Okay. Why so interested in compilers? I think they bring together a lot of different areas of computer science, and they require a lot of software engineering to maintain. And it's just a very cool puzzle for me. I guess that's where my interest comes from. Just out of curiosity, what happens if I build? Okay, well it looks like it builds. Nice website, thank you. I haven't worked on it in a while. I really should work on it, but yeah, it is what it is. Sorry, did this build backend? Yes, it did, okay. Make test. Should it still pass everything? Okay. Set upstream, origin, initial back. Oh, no, backend. Okay, perfect. Let's just check GitHub real quick. You should add me if you haven't. You can see everything I'm working on. Let's make a draft pull request because we love version control. Okay. Yeah, I think this is what I'm gonna call the stream. I'm quite tired, my voice is dead, and I want to, I guess, be a human being again today. I've had like, I've had a midterm today, I had an interview today. It's just like a lot of stuff. I feel like I've been pretty foot on the gas for the past 2 weeks, so I think this weekend I'm gonna at least try to chill a little bit. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching today's stream, especially if you've been here for the entire 1.5 hours. That's a lot of time to spend. And it really means a lot to me that you've decided to spend it just watching me yap and write code. If you haven't already, make sure you sub to the channel and like the stream. It really helps get my content out to more people and helps a lot with my growth. While you're down there, make sure to join the Discord if you haven't. That's the best place to get pinged when I go live. There's this nice little channel, and also get notified when I decide to mess with my stream schedule. And also you get to chat with me and all the other community, which is quite nice. Everyone is very chill. Yeah, aside from that, connect with me on LinkedIn, add me on GitHub to stay up to date with what I'm doing. And yeah, take care y'all, take it easy, and have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are.